Hi there, I'm Phil. Welcome to another in our story analysis videos, where I take a look at a film in terms of its story structure, character arcs and themes. Today, we're looking at The Truman Show. Make sure you've seen the film, spoilers ahead. The Truman Show was released in 1998, directed by Peter Weir, and starring of course Jim Carrey, Laura Linney and Ed Harris, and was written by New Zealand writer Andrew Niccol.
When I read it, I was so impressed. I'd been looking at such a lot of predictable things, or things I'd seen before, or types of films I'd made before, and I was in the mood for something difficult and interesting, and Andrew provided it.
The Truman Show, of course, deals with the story of a man who spent his entire life in a literal bubble, not realizing he's the star of a reality TV show.
While the world he inhabits is, in some respects, counterfeit, there's nothing fake about Truman himself.
The structure for this film is rather interesting. It is a basic three-act structure. However, the inciting incident that kicks off our story, I would argue, comes 30 years prior to the beginning of the film. The moment that Truman, as a baby, is adopted by the corporation.
I believe Truman is the first child to have been legally adopted by a corporation.
That's correct.
This is the moment that The Truman Show, the show within the movie, begins. Now, we don't get that at the beginning of the film. What we do get is a brief introduction with Christoph, the director-producer, and a couple of the key cast members.
The Truman Show is a lifestyle. It's a noble life.
Nothing you see on this show is fake. It's merely controlled.
Very often in class when I ask my students, what is the inciting incident for this film? They say, well, it's when the light falls from the sky. That's like the opening shot almost, once we get into Truman's world. That and the rain that falls just on Truman on the beach. There's a whole series of these little quirky incidents that happen. Now, just because that light fell from the sky, you would think that would be the trigger for Truman seeing something wrong with the world and wanting to do something about it and to investigate. Well, that's not the case though. As we see later, these sorts of things have been going on his entire life.
Screw it! It's television! Yes!
So when that light falls, and he then hears on the radio,
an aircraft in trouble began shedding parts as it flew over Sea Haven just a few moments ago. Wow, luckily no one was hurt.
He takes it as, oh, just another one of those things, and he doesn't do anything about it. Even later in the film, when we flash back to their high school years and he meets Lauren, and she tries to tell him,
everybody knows everything you do. They're pretending, Truman. Do you understand? Everybody's pretending.
He doesn't take that any further. Every time something like this comes up, an anomaly in his world, or a desire to go beyond this small town home and see what's out there, he's talked out of it.
You want to be an explorer. This'll pass. We all think like this now and then.
So sometimes the inciting incident does come before the story starts, and in this case, 30 years before the story starts. But we don't find out a lot of these details until the midpoint of the film.
Why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Act 1, of course, establishing Truman in his home life and his work life, now that we, the audience, have some insight into the fact that this is all fake, and we see those product placement ads that Laura Linney's Meryl keeps trying to do.
It's a chef's pal. It's a dicer, grater, peeler, all in one. Never needs sharpening, dishwasher safe.
Wow. That's amazing.
So despite the fact that we don't see Christoph for the first half of the film, we're in Truman's point of view, we do cut occasionally to the audience, to people outside the bubble watching this show.
The wind blows in and the curtains move and you don't see anything.
So what then is the first act turning point of Act 1? The moment when Truman actually becomes aware that something is wrong in his world and he starts to do something about it. He makes a choice. For me, this moment is very clear. When he's driving to work and he hears on the radio,
stand by all extras. Gloria, he'll be on you in about 90 seconds. Pops, make sure the coffee's hot. Okay, he's making his turn onto Lancaster Square.
That, again, is another one of those weird anomalies, which he may do nothing about. Because after all, the radio announcer explains.
Sorry about that, folks. I guess we picked up a police frequency or something.
But nevertheless, when he walks through those revolving doors, as we saw him do earlier, and come right back out. That is the choice moment when he says, no, I'm going to test this. I'm going to challenge this. That leads us to the point where he walks into the wrong building, where they're not expecting him to go, and he sees what he should not see behind the elevator.
What's happened? Nothing.
This begins Truman's journey of discovering what is really going on, and renews his obsession about going to Fiji.
Fiji. We're moving to Fiji.
Fiji?
He will not be talked out of it this time.
Where's there to go?
Fiji.
Where the hell is Fiji?
How can I help?
I would like to book a flight to Fiji.
When would you like to leave?
Today.
Note that throughout all of this so far, we're essentially in Truman's point of view. We are watching him, sometimes through an obvious hidden camera, hence the vignette that we see, but we are staying with Truman, and we're following his point of view.
It was two films in one. Firstly, I had to make the Truman Show, and then, as it were, subvert that. I mean, in a strange way, it's very subversive of the form of movies themselves. That is, you never reveal the fact there's a camera photographing people.
Up until the point when he tries to drive off the island, which he does succeed in doing.
We're over the bridge.
We're over!
But then is stopped by the nuclear accident. And they've almost convinced him.
Looks like a leak at the plant.
Until...
You're welcome, Truman.
Once back home, he has it out with the wife, and she is freaking out. This becomes our shit gets real midpoint moment.
Do something!
And this is where Truman really becomes aware that someone is, in fact, watching him.
Who are you talking to?
Nothing, I didn't say anything.
That there is someone up there that she's talking to.
I wasn't talking to anybody.
And in that moment, we switch points of view. We switch up to the control room, and we switch to Christoph and the crew as they watch this play out.
The last thing I'd ever do is lie to you.
And the last thing that I would ever do is lie to you.
From that point on, we are watching things from the point of view of Christoph and the crew and the audience.
My son. Oh.
Fade up music.
Dad.
Yes!
Aside from Truman himself, most of the other characters have a wonderful arc, even if it's sort of in the background. Christoph has this wonderful paradox of loving father and TV producer. This moment here, for example, gives us everything we need to know about how much he cares about Truman. Everyone else in this world is an actor playing a part, Merrill and Marlon in particular. They are, after all, playing dual roles, an actor playing a part. And they have their own arc within that. You get this especially from Merrill when she freaks out at the midpoint.
How can anyone expect me to carry on under these conditions? It's unprofessional!
Because she doesn't really like Truman all that much. And she knows, but she's very powerful and very famous because of this show, because of this job. So, and she does not want to lose that.
And also from Marlon when he's got Christoph in his ear telling him what to say.
If everybody is in on it, I'd have to be in on it too.
Imagine how the actor playing Marlon feels about telling this to his, quote, best friend. Again, this is not made obvious, it's not his story, it's not Merrill's story, but the subtext is the tragedy of these supporting characters having to do this for the sake of being on a TV show. So once Truman settles down, he starts to go back to his routine. And from Christoph's point of view, from the crew's point of view, it looks like he's forgotten all of this, the reunion with the father has helped settle him down, and he's back to normal.
Morning! Good morning!
Good morning!
Oh, and in case I don't see you. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Oh. And he goes off to work just like normal and goes back home like normal and sleeps in the basement because he and his wife had an argument after all. Fairly normal stuff.
What's he doing in the basement?
He moved down there after Meryl packed up and left.
The second act's turning point is when they send Marlon to double check on him, and Marlon discovers that Truman has escaped.
Don't look in the camera. Say something. Keep it going. Keep it going. He's gone.
This all is lost moment is a great success for Truman, but we're not in his point of view right now. We're in Christoph's. For him, it's a disaster.
Cut transmission!
Cut transmission? Cut it!
So they begin the mad search trying to find Truman.
Cue the sun.
The moment they find Truman on the boat and resume transmission, we are into Act 3.
Resuming transmission.
Act 3 is all of that stuff that happens on the boat. The storm.
Hit him again.
We can't let him die in front of a live audience.
He was born in front of a live audience.
Christoph at this point is both being a very overprotective father who doesn't want his son to leave, but also being a storyteller who understands this is great television. And we need to have the sacrifice moment. We need, as he says,
if he was absolutely determined to discover the truth, there's no way we could prevent him.
One way of looking at this film, and there are many ways you can look at it, but it was a father and a son. I mean, he did adopt the child, and he did raise the child, but the only contact, as I say, was via the image.
Who are you? I am the creator of a television show that gives hope and joy and inspiration to millions. Then who am I? You're the star.
And both of these aspects of Christoph come out in that final speech to Truman.
You can't leave, Truman.
As he gently tries to convince him to stay.
You belong here.
Like an overprotective father might do.
With me.
But then he says,
Say something, goddammit! You're on television! You're live to the whole world!
So what is the growth arc here for Truman? What is the lesson he needs to learn? Well, fairly obviously, it's about learning the nature of his reality, learning the truth about his reality and discovering that. But what's his emotional growth arc? This comes down to his central relationship, which is not the wife, and not even Marlon the best friend, or even God the Father, Christoph. It's with the Natasha McAlone character, Lauren. This is the central love story of the film. This is why he wants to get to Fiji, to reunite with her.
Get out of here. Come on, find
Don't worry. We're going to
see you in
Fiji.
school.
Fiji. We're moving to Fiji.
No.
When Truman walks through that door at the end, that's the end of our A plot. He's discovered the truth about the world, and possibly the world outside, and he makes that choice to go outside anyway. The resolution of the B plot is when we see in the very next shot Lauren, Sylvia, running to meet him. They will reunite, they will get back together. He doesn't have to go all the way to Fiji to do it. And that's all we need to see the resolution of our B plot. The spine of the film, the concept that holds together the A plot, we don't hear it out loud, but you see it here on the shirts. Love him, protect him.
Well done, everyone. Bravo. Congratulations.
The theme that underpins our B story, Truman's arc, is articulated here by Christoph.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
Or to put it another way, perhaps we should not accept the reality with which we are presented without a bit of investigation. Because it may not be what you think. So that's my take on The Truman Show. If you like these kinds of videos, you know what to do. If you'd like to learn more about filmmaking, check out my book linked below. And if you'd like to see more of these videos that I can't put on YouTube, check out my Patreon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yeah.